Hello, everyone. Welcome back to It's Giving Health, a new podcast by Advanced Community Health, where we are educating our community on a variety of health topics. I am your host, Donnae Ward. In today's episode, we are talking about anxiety. So this is a disorder that is more common than you think, and it actually manifests emotionally and physically and can begin in childhood. So let's dive right into it. We're going to talk about what anxiety really is, how it impacts daily life, and what steps you can take to manage it. Whether you've experienced anxiety yourself, know someone who has, or just want to learn a little bit more about this conversation, this is for you. Here with me is LaDonn Woodson, a licensed clinical social worker associated with our behavioral health team. LaDonn works closely with patients to help them better understand and manage their anxiety. Welcome, LaDonn.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we're glad to have you here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from and all of that, and then why behavioral health?
Yes, so I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and moved to Raleigh back in 2008. I have two boys, two adult grown boys that cause me anxiety, and we'll talk about that a little later.
I know that's right.
And what drew me to mental health is that as a young teen, I had people coming up to me, talking to me all the time. And I was like, what is this? Like, they were sharing their problems, they were sharing their issues with me. And I finally realized that it was a gift. And so I accepted that gift and I went into mental health, and I've been with Advanced Community Health since 2023.
Okay, nice. All right. So for people to kind of get a better understanding, what is anxiety and how does that differ from everyday stress?
Yeah. So anxiety is an emotional response characterized by feelings of worry, nervousness, and anxiousness for future events and also uncertain situations. While some anxiety levels are totally normal, like you're preparing for an exam or you're planning for a wedding, other levels of anxiety can be excessive, persistent, and negatively impact your day-to-day.
We got a little bit of that. Right. So a lot of people might say that they have anxiety, right?
Yeah.
But aren't sure what it is. And anxiety is something that many people experience, but I know that it could look a little different for everyone. So what are some common signs and symptoms that people should look out for?
That's a great question, Donnae. Some people experience anxiety and don't understand what they're fully experiencing or the symptoms that they're experiencing. Some symptoms to look out for is insomnia, irritability, rapid heartbeat, racing thoughts, chest pain. I'm sorry.
Not yet. Listen, you diagnosing me.
And then some signs to look out for is when the fear and worry start to impact your day-to-day life, when you start to have fear of going to places or meeting new people, and also unexpected panic attacks.
Okay. So good stuff. So if you could kind of help someone visualize how it feels. Because sometimes I've been thinking about even this week, right? I was like, it's so interesting that we talking about anxiety because this week I was like, is this anxiety? Is this adult ADHD? Am I just having a burnout? You know what I mean? Yes. So what, if you could visualize it, help somebody see how does it feel? What exactly does it feel like?
Well, I would say, imagine that you have a fire alarm going off in your mind. It's constantly ringing. Your heart is racing. You feel on edge all the time, and you're always expecting something bad to happen. Another example is, say that your feet are planted in cement and you can't move. Fear keeps you stuck in that position. You overanalyze everything, and on top of that, you are always thinking about the worst case scenario. So people that are experiencing anxiety, this is very real for them. but it's very treatable. With therapy, self-care regimens, mindfulness, grounding techniques, anxiety can be treatable.
I guess the first thing is actually recognizing, are you anxious?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so another thing, and this came to mind too, because mental health still carries a stigma in many communities, right? And I'm thinking about where I grew up. So I grew up in the Bahamas, where we say anything about mental health, they said, no, you just need Jesus. Okay. So why do you think that is, that we still have this stigma, and how could we start to break down those barriers?
Yes, great question. Mental health does still exist. Stigma does continue to be seen in communities. And I believe it's a combination of cultural beliefs, misinformation, and also fear of being judged.
Right.
With cultural beliefs, you have many communities still looking at mental health as a sign of weakness rather than a medical condition, causing people that are suffering from mental illness to stay silent. Then we have misinformation. So when we talk about lack of education and lack of awareness surrounding mental health, that creates stereotypes. And then lastly, fear of being judged. If you are someone that is experiencing a mental health condition, you may not want to speak about it because you don't want to be labeled a derogatory term. Ways that we can break these barriers or talk about mental health, right? Make it normal, normalize it in a way that if you're suffering from mental health, it's not seen as something you should be silent about. And then lastly, just looking at therapy as a sign of strength and not a weakness.
Yeah. And also, as you were talking about it, I'm thinking normalizing too, more and more mental health professionals that, talking to more and more people that look like us.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
So not separating it from our culture and everything, if we have representation when it comes to that field.
Absolutely.
Okay. And speaking of stigma too, another stigma is medication.
Yes.
So is there medication available to treat anxiety, and how does one know like that's the option that they need to take?
Great question. So in addition to therapy, medication management is definitely available in treating anxiety. If your anxiety levels have become persistent and excessive, if you start to experience anxiety on a daily basis for longer than a week or a month, and those somatic symptoms, the chest pain, the rapid heartbeat starts to develop because of your anxiety, then medication may be a way for you to kind of relieve some of that anxiety. If you were interested in talking about anxiety with a professional at Advanced Community Health, we can get you linked to a primary care doctor or a psychiatrist.
Okay, so now I'm curious to know what gives you anxiety, LaDonn?
Yeah.
You mentioned it a little bit about your son.
Yes. So first, professionally as a therapist, anxiety is heightened when I am making sure that I provide the best level of care for my patients. I want to make sure that during each session that they're reaching their goals and they're hitting their marks that they want to hit within therapy. So that gives me a little bit of anxiety. And then just on a personal note, just making sure that I have given my adult sons the tools that they needed to navigate life successfully. So what that means is just tapping into my support system, making sure I implement self-care regimens, and then also just reassuring myself that I've done a great job, the best I could do, and pouring into myself as much as I can to get myself in a good place to be able to pour into others. Funny as it may be, Donnae, is that I have anxiety when I see anything running across the road or like mice.
Oh, yeah,
more
okay.
specifically. I can't see them on screen. I can't see them outside. And so my children growing up, they knew that I had this anxiety about seeing mice. I don't know where I got it from, but I just kind of developed it over time. So they would cut out mice pictures and put it on the refrigerator and be like, Mom, can you give me something to drink? And so I would go to get them something to drink, and I would be devastated seeing these mice on my refrigerator. I mean, it was just hilarious, but it provoked my anxiety so much. So, yes.
Like I said, sometimes I don't know whether it's burnout or anxiety, but as we're speaking, it's like, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm relating to a lot of what you're saying.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the professionally, like, trying to get everything done, trying to outwork and have this strong work ethic. And then also personally, I have a son as well. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's just a lot of things that, like you say, you don't know it's anxiety, but it's there.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay. So I guess, can anxiety lead to, I work in health equity where I do a lot of disease management in terms of with type 2 diabetes, with hypertension, but can anxiety actually lead to other health conditions?
Yes, anxiety can lead to other health conditions and even worsen those other health conditions. Some of those conditions are heart disease, substance use disorders, sleep disorders, and even
the sleep disorders, definitely. I need to get more sleep.
depression.
Depression. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So how does Advanced Community Health support patients dealing with anxiety and other mental health challenges?
Yes. So Advanced Community Health is dedicated to providing comprehensive, compassionate, and accessible care. We do that by providing integrated behavioral health services during the time of your primary care visit.
Okay.
We also have ongoing outpatient mental health services. And also we see patients from all walks of life. And we provide therapy with trained therapists, psychiatrists, and also we provide a psychologist to help you with your mental health journey.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. So I guess what advice would you give to someone who wants to support like a friend or family member dealing with anxiety?
I would say just make sure that you are very understanding of what they're going through and being there for them. I think that is most important. And then encouraging them to see a professional is also important to helping them process their mental health.
I know, so I think sometimes we forget, there are trained professionals who deal with this.
Absolutely.
We sometimes go to family and friends for advice, but sometimes, we need to go to a professional, right? Go to the experts.
And that's great, like having that support system to process things with. But like you said, having a professional in your corner to help you with those strategies and treat the anxiety is also important.
Okay. So for anyone listening right now, that might be struggling with anxiety, what message would you want to share with them, or what do you want to tell them?
So I would say you are not alone. I know anxiety can be very overwhelming. It can be stressful, but there are trained professionals here at Advanced Community Health that are here to help you with your mental health journey.
Okay. Well, LaDonn, we'd like to thank you for your time and your expertise today. This was a wonderful conversation. And for our listeners, I hope you left today's conversation with a better understanding of anxiety, its symptoms, the resources available for you as well, and how you can manage this condition. If you're looking for a healthcare home, Advanced Community Health welcomes you with open arms. We have an amazing behavioral health team, board certified behavioral health professionals ready to serve you. And for more information, please schedule an appointment. Give us a call at 919-833-3111. As a reminder, you got to catch us every third Thursday for a new episode of It's Giving Health. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or Podbean. Subscribe to Advanced Community Health at Advanced CHC to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. I'm your host, Donnae Ward.
And I'm LaDonn Woodson.
And it's Giving Health.